The fastest way to slow down a crash report is to begin writing before the facts are organized. A name is present, but the role is unclear. A vehicle movement is described, but the direction is missing. A diagram shows one sequence while a note suggests another. None of those gaps proves that the report is wrong. They do show where review will stop. This video gives you a practical, agency-neutral checklist for organizing a crash narrative before supervisor review. Use it with your agency's policy, required forms, and reporting system. The officer remains responsible for every fact, every conclusion, and every word that moves forward. A clear narrative starts before the first sentence. Begin by separating what you have into 4 groups: observed facts, statements, records or measurements, and unanswered questions. An observed fact is something documented directly at the scene. A statement belongs to the person who provided it. A record or measurement needs its source. An unanswered question stays visible instead of being quietly filled with an assumption. This separation matters because a narrative can sound smooth while blending sources that should remain distinct. Before drafting, confirm that each important detail has a source and that uncertainty is labeled honestly. Organization is not a substitute for investigation. It is how you keep the investigation's information from becoming blurred during writing. First, verify the basic identities and roles. Who was driving each unit? Who was a passenger, witness, owner, or reporting person? Which vehicle is Unit 1, Unit 2, or another designation required by your agency? Confirm the location description, roadway, lane, direction of travel, intersection relationship, and any other location element your reporting standard requires. Then check consistency. The same person, vehicle, and place should not change labels halfway through the narrative. If a role or identifier is unresolved, mark it for follow-up. Do not choose the most likely answer just to make the paragraph read better. This check prevents a small labeling error from creating confusion across the sequence, diagram, citations, and review comments. Second, build the event sequence before polishing the prose. Start with the earliest supported event. Move through approach, movement, contact, and post-contact position only to the level supported by your information. A simple timeline can expose gaps faster than a finished paragraph. Ask whether each step has a clear subject, action, direction, and relationship to the next event. Watch for unexplained jumps. If the narrative moves from travel to impact without showing the supported movement between them, the reviewer has to reconstruct that missing connection. Sequence also does not mean certainty. When 2 accounts differ, preserve the difference and attribute each account instead of forcing one combined version. Clear order helps review. Invented certainty damages it. Third, check the source behind every significant sentence. What did the officer observe? What did driver 1 state? What did a witness report? What came from a diagram, photograph, measurement, video, or other authorized record? Source language does not need to make the narrative clumsy. It needs to make the basis understandable. Statements should remain attributed. Physical observations should not be written as if they prove a cause that has not been established. A photograph can document visible conditions without answering every question about how the crash occurred. If 2 sources conflict, the conflict itself may be a review item. Keep it visible. The goal is not to make every detail agree. The goal is to show what is supported, where it came from, and what remains unresolved. Fourth, stop and look specifically for missing information. Review your agency's required fields and ask what a supervisor would need to understand the event without standing beside you. Are roles clear? Are units used consistently? Are directions and movements supported? Are injuries, property information, witness details, measurements, citations, diagrams, or attachments addressed where required? Are there placeholders, contradictory times, unexplained abbreviations, or follow-up notes that never reach the narrative? This is not a universal legal checklist, and requirements vary by agency and jurisdiction. Treat it as a quality control pass that points you back to your official standard. A blank should trigger a question, not an invented answer. An unresolved item should remain unresolved until authorized information supports a change. With the information organized, draft for review. Use a logical order and plain language. Give each sentence one clear job. Keep the people and units identifiable. Avoid adding dramatic language that is not needed to document the event. Then read the narrative against the notes, diagram, and required form instead of reading it only as prose. A paragraph can sound professional and still conflict with the underlying information. This second view asks a different question. Can another authorized reviewer trace the narrative back to the facts and sources? If the answer is no, revise the organization before revising the style. Clarity comes from supported structure first. Polished wording comes second. Before submission, use the supervisor-review lens. Confirm that the narrative answers who, what, where, and the supported sequence of events. Confirm that statements are attributed, observations are distinguishable, and unresolved issues remain visible. Check that names, unit labels, directions, times, and locations agree across the narrative and supporting material. Look for conclusions that reach beyond the documented facts. Then ask whether the next reviewer can identify what was verified, what was reported by someone else, and what still needs follow-up. Supervisor review is not an obstacle at the end of the process. It is an independent check that can catch gaps, ambiguity, and unsupported language before the work moves farther downstream. This is where a structured tool can support the work. Field Notes Pro can help organize officer-provided crash details, keep missing information questions visible, and prepare a narrative draft for officer review. It can support reviewer feedback and a clearer path toward copy or export into an agency workflow. It does not investigate the crash. It does not invent facts, decide fault, guarantee accuracy, replace agency policy, or submit an official report. The software supports organization and review. The officer verifies the sources, edits the language, resolves authorized follow-up, and decides what is ready to move forward. That boundary is part of the workflow, not fine print after it. The checklist is simple. Capture the information, separate the sources, sequence the supported events, identify what is missing, draft for review, and verify the result. The facts do not become stronger because the language sounds certain. The narrative becomes stronger when its structure makes the support and the limits clear. Use fictional or sanitized information for training and demonstrations. Use your agency's current policy, required forms, supervisor process, and official reporting system for real work. Field Notes Pro helps organize the path from field information to reviewable preparation. The officer remains the final decision point. Organize the facts. Strengthen the narrative. Learn more at getfieldnotespro.com.